Hello there, you're listening to Strawberry Ink, where history meets the human psyche in the most unexpected ways. Today, we take you into the mind of a man who tried to rewrite his reality, and in doing so, rewrote history. We will be discussing the attempted assassination of a US president back in the day. And this is politics, trust me, to this day. I am real disappointed with what I'm seeing on the news. At least our current president did something positive by making an executive order to lower prices of pharmaceuticals. And it looks like the Congress has been discussing this. If the Congress dares to not let this executive order stand, then I hope a wave of people rate their building again. Because I am so sick of seeing evaluations cost $4,000. That is BS. And seeing psychiatric evaluations cost $74. Like, don't complain about drug dealing when you're running your economy in such a crappy way. Several people who turned to selling drugs in order to sustain themselves and stand up for themselves, they deserve a pardon. Those who rob pharmacies, they deserve a pardon too. They do not deserve to be prosecuted, nor imprisoned, nor incarcerated. This is the story of the attempted assassination of President Ronald Reagan and the strange, obsessive mind of John Hinckley Jr. On March 30th, 1981, shots rang out outside the Washington Hilton Hotel. The newly inaugurated President of the United States had just wrapped up a speech and was exiting this building when 6 bullets tore through the air, leaving 4 wounded and an entire nation shaken. But this was not a true story of political violence, but listener discretion is advised in this episode. It was a story of delusion, of obsession, of an actress named Jodie Foster, and a man who thought killing the president would make her love him. John Hinckley Jr. was born into privilege in 1955. He had access to education and money. But by the late 1970s, his life had drifted into something darker. He moved to Hollywood chasing dreams of becoming a writer, but instead fell into isolation and obsession. His fixation, a movie. It was called Taxi Driver. He watched it more than 15 times. The film's protagonist, if you know, Travis Bickle, portrayed by Robert De Niro, a well-known actor, is a loner spiraling into violence. In the movie, Bickle becomes obsessed with a young prostitute, a young whore, played by Jodie Foster, and eventually attempts to assassinate a presidential candidate. To Hinckley, this was not just fiction, it was prophecy. He began following Jodie Foster's real life, learning that she was attending Yale. He enrolled in a writing course there in 1980, just to be close to her. He sent her letter after letter. He even called her. And when she made it clear she wanted nothing to do with him, he did not stop. Instead, he made a decision. He'd become famous, not through writing, not through love, but through blood. He believed that if he became a national figure, Jodie Foster would finally notice him, finally love him. That was the foundation of a rare psychological condition known as erotomania, a delusion in which someone believes another person, often of higher status, is in love with them. Hinckley set his sights on President Jimmy Carter first. He followed Carter around on campaign stops and got alarmingly close, within a foot at one of the events. In October 1980, he was arrested at the Nashville airport for illegal possession of a firearm. However, the FBI did not connect him to any presidential threat. Therefore, he was released. His parents placed him under psychiatric care briefly, but not long after. Hinckley redirected his obsession to the man who had just won the presidency, Ronald Reagan. On March 30th, 1981, Hinckley stood outside the Washington Hilton Hotel. As Reagan exited, he fired 6 shots. 4 people were hit. President Reagan was struck in the chest, just an inch from his heart. Press Secretary James Brady was shot in the head and permanently disabled. Officer Thomas Delahanty of the D.C. Metropolitan Police was hit in the neck. And Secret Service agent Timothy McCarthy took a bullet to the abdomen on purpose. He had jumped in front of the president, which was his job. All 4 survived. All underwent emergency surgery at the George Washington University Hospital. Hinckley was arrested immediately and taken to the Secret Service headquarters. He was then transferred to the Marine Corps Base, Quantico, in Virginia. His first court appearance was on March 31st, 1981, where federal magistrate Lawrence Margulies denied him bond and ordered Hinckley to remain in pretrial custody. He was moved to the Federal Correctional Complex in Butner, North Carolina, and assigned defense lawyer Vincent Fuller. Prosecutor Roger Adelman prepared a federal case. Then came May the 4th, Star Wars Day, 1981. Hinckley was indicted on 13 felony counts, 4 counts of attempted assassination, 5 of assault, and 4 firearms violations. During his arraignment, federal judge Barrington Parker ordered that he continue to remain in custody to await trial. Hinckley pleaded not guilty, but then Judge Parker later on accepted the option for an insanity defense. Hinckley changed his plea to not guilty by reason of insanity. 1 year later, on the next Star Wars Day, May 4th, 1982, the trial began. Prosecutor Judith Retchin took over, and Hinckley's defense team expanded to include attorney Thomas Green. The jury heard evidence of Hinckley's mental illness and his obsession of Jodie Foster, as well as his detachment from reality. On June 21st, 1982, the jury returned its verdict, not guilty by reason of insanity. The country was stunned. The idea that someone could shoot a president and walk free horrified many. But Hinckley would not walk free, not for a long time. He was confined to St. Elizabeth's Hospital in Washington, D.C., where he remained under psychiatric care for decades. Meanwhile, one of his victims, James Brady, Reagan's press secretary, did not stay quiet. He and his wife, Sarah Brady, became gun control advocates. They worked with lawmakers to craft the Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act, known simply as the Brady Act, introduced by Representative Charles Schumer and sponsored in the Senate by Howard Metzenbaum. The bill required background checks on firearm purchases. President Bill Clinton signed it into law on November 30th, 1993, a law born of bullets and one name, Brady. For Hinckley, the final chapter did not come until 2022, after decades of treatment and a gradual loosening of restrictions. Judge Paul Friedman ruled in September 2021 that Hinckley no longer posed a threat. On June 15th, 2022, he was granted full unconditional release. No longer confined, no longer supervised. He now lives in Virginia. He paints, he sings. He uploads to YouTube. He's a YouTuber musician. And yet, His name is forever tied to one moment, one obsession, one gun. The story of John Hinckley Jr. is not just about an assassination attempt. It's about untreated delusion, missing red flags, and the devastating impact of obsession turning violent. It's a reminder that behind some of the most shocking moments in history, there are deeply personal, deeply broken stories. Thank you for listening to Strawberry Ink. If you found this episode powerful, please follow and leave a review. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and stay human. Have a good rest of your day.